Good evening. Welcome to the Public Works Committee meeting. It is Thursday, August 17th. To the clerk, can I please have a roll call?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine, Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Renzulli, Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Present. Next item, it's the approval of the minutes of the July 13, 2023 regular meeting. May I have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, to the clerk, can please take the call, roll call.
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next item is committee business matters carry over, of which I see none. Moving on to public comments, is there anyone here to comment on any docketed matters only? Right, there's no one here. Comments, anyone on Zoom? I don't think there is, but
There is no public comment.
all right, great, thank you. Public comments are now closed. Next item is new matters before the committee. First item is a petition of the Narragansett Electric and Verizon New England for installation of new pole on Wilbur Avenue. You have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
Any discussion? All right, there's no discussion, seeing none. Rose, can you please take the roll call?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Thank you. Motion passes. Petition of Narragansett Electric and Verizon New England for installation of a new pole on Harmony Streets. The next matter, may I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Through the clerk, can you please take the roll?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is a petition of Narragansett Electric and Verizon New England for installation of new pole and the new conduit on Macklin Street. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A motion, a second, any discussion? All right, hearing none. Through the clerk, can you please take the roll call?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Right, next item up. Council Member Ferry, you have a few items or two items on here, handing the gavel right over to you.
Yes. I was hoping that the administration could give us an update as to why there is such a backlog on tree trimming in the city, which I think no one's going to deny the fact that it is a backlog. And what are we doing to improve the situation? I know that we're behind. I know we're shorthanded. I know there might not be enough money, but if those are all the things that are causing this, what are we doing to correct the situation?
Yeah, so the backlog of the tree maintenance program, that has always existed up to this point. What we're doing to combat that is we are prioritizing these requests based on public safety. We get many requests for anywhere from removing a tree to pruning a tree. Based on our standing operating procedure, we only treat dead, dying, and diseased trees. So those would be the public safety concerns that we take into account. And those are the ones that go to the top of the list. And then it's based on funding on how many we can get done at a time.
I fully understand all of that. So what are we doing to correct that situation?
I would say the best correction would be additional funding. Right now, it's the prioritization where we can't get to the bottom of that list.
So you think additional funding would solve the problem?
As the acting director mentioned, it's been age-old problem, as we all are aware. And sure, we say additional funding, but it would probably be many hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to to resolve every issue that people would like to have done. But over the years, the decades, the city has been responsible for any issues that could cause a public safety concern. And then if it can go beyond, it certainly does. So nothing's changed, I guess, over the years, and the highways current with the ability, with what they're currently doing, and then there's money expended to outside contractors for the work that they're unable to get to. So money would solve the problem, but that solves life in many ways too.
All right. Director, this is not pointing at anybody. You both said that it's been a problem like forever.
That's what I've been told.
I just think that that's not acceptable. We have to come up with a way to satisfy people. I'm getting 15 calls on trees.
We have to realize that the city doesn't do pruning and decorative type things. It's basically health and safety. Otherwise, the answer is funding. It's by personnel funding. That's probably additional money for outside funding to answer it. Just that will probably satisfy things.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Ferry, I believe you have a second item on there.
I do. I was hoping that we could get an update from the city on the flooding on Wilbur Avenue. Is there any intention of trying to ever solve this problem?
There is, the city and the mayor and the administration met with Director Alvidi over at the DOT. They have given us word that they're going to utilize their engineers to start the design process. Once we get into that process, the city will definitely be involved in those conversations.
So are you hopeful that there's a solution?
We are definitely working on potential solutions. There's always obstacles to overcome, but yes, we are talking about it.
Could I ask that maybe quarterly, the council be addressed as to an update if there's been a meeting or something to that effect?
Yep, I can answer any questions you have on that if it's on the agenda. Absolutely. Of
Thank you very much.
course.
Council President Marino.
I'm sorry, is there an actual meeting currently scheduled with Director Alvidi?
There's nothing on the schedule right now. We already had the meeting
And when was the previous meeting with Director Alvidi?
2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who had that meeting with Director Alvidi on Wilbur Avenue?
It was
flooding.
myself, Director Moretti, Mayor Hopkins, Director Alvidi and his staff.
And the intention going forward, like what were there solutions that were proposed? Was there any discussion in terms of what funding might be?
The funding part is still TBD. The ideas right now, conceptual ideas, were brought to light by Director Alvidi, which is basically making the bike crossing and the vehicle crossing at grade. So it would be lowering the bike path and raising the road so they intersect at the same point. So I guess there was conversations about funding and a grant opportunity with FEMA. The funding percentages are 75%, 25%.
75% city or 75% FEMA?
Yeah, FEMA,
So we would only be contributing 25% towards the cost.
correct.
Was there a timetable on that? Is that something that will be determined within like the next 6 months, or when's the application deadline for that?
I don't think I can give you an exact date on that right now. The conversations have been very minimal, nothing concrete at all, so I don't want to give you any wrong information on that.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't ask for an exact date, but I was just wondering if the state is aware of potential grant through FEMA. I would suppose that there's a knowledge as to what that timeline would be, because how else would we avail ourselves of it, you know? There must have been discussion along those lines, whether or not that's within the next year, 6 months, 5 years.
We're not prepared for that. It wasn't on the agenda in terms of grant funding, but I know the state is aware of it. Mr. Pappas from REMA is aware of it. So, so we don't have that exact answer. We can ask, the state officials when the grant money is available too. They did not express a sense of urgency.
Yeah, the agenda item was just what are we doing to improve the situation? So since are
We
talking
weren't
about what
prepared
those
to
options
the
were, but
specifics.
I'm still speaking, Mr. Moretti,
Yes,
when
ma'am.
I'm done, then you can
Yes,
speak,
thank you.
please. Thank you. And I understand you may not have the exact details now. We've never expected and nor have we experienced that you have all the information every time you appear before us. So we have no problem with you getting the information and giving it back to us. But we do ask the questions and we appreciate your candid and honest responses. Thank you.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Any additional discussion on this
Yeah,
item?
can I say one last
Councilmember
thing? I'm hoping that these meetings happen and something gets done about it. And I'm glad to see that at least we've made a motion into that direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tom, is there a reason why the static is taking place? Thanks, Tom. All right, next item up, Council Vice President Vargas, that's myself. I have a few items on here. First item is to the administration, looking to find out whether our Park and Recs director has, when was the last time there was an assessment of our park and recreation? Pretty much our parks around the city. And, of that list that we do have, who's really keeping up with the maintenance and how are we prioritizing our parks right now in terms of the needs that it has, whether it's upgrading, whether it's the toys, whether it's the maintenance, the grounds of it, the cracks, whether if it has basketball hoops, if it doesn't, just curious overall on the park.
And Mr. Tasalia would have been here, but he has a family obligation this evening. So he's passed along some notes for me to hopefully answer your questions. They do know by recreational facility, the conditions, and I'll say there's a list of needs, wants, if you will. And he has those prioritized and how they should be addressed. And it's a constant thing. It's not just annually, biannually reviewed. It's done as a rolling basis, almost weekly, as things are taken care of, more things hit the books. But there is a priority list that he maintains, and who does it is the in-house crews. They respond to the maintenance. And if there's any particular skill sets that our parks folks don't possess, they would have to go on the outside. Typically, that might be certain large tree issues more often than not. As to, okay, that was basically his answer.
So Director Moretti, my concern on here is, well, I'll start off by requesting that park and recreation list or an assessment if possible on our parks. I believe it was given to us, we're in 2023, 2020, maybe 2020, last year or the year before, there was a list. I'd love a list that that could have a little more specifics in terms of to the maintenance and the what it scores, I guess, maybe from like a 1 to 10, right? Where our parks are. I have to go back to my email because I believe that list was shared possibly at one of the Public Works Committee in my previous term. And the reason why I'm saying that is As you can see, the second bullet that I have, which is conditions, maintenance and upgrades of Commercial Street Park Playground, Edgewood Elementary School Playground and Chester Barrow School Playground. I have not heard from Director Tizaglia at all. I've sent numerous of emails, and while I've copied you on there as well, Director, and he may not be allowed, or he just is, protocol is for us to just hold off on not responding to the council and possibly going through yourself as a point of contact. I've put in a request, particularly with well, pretty much all of them, but Chester Barrow School, the playground, that whole area, the grounds in itself. We have students now coming from a different school over to that school, and it's not welcoming. And I believe there is a welcome back open house taking place probably within the next week, if not even sooner than that. And it doesn't look good, and it doesn't look welcoming. And I think the kids have the right to really be proud, particularly when there's students that are going to be going to a totally different school. And so if we can definitely take a look at that Chester Barrow School Playground, I would really appreciate it. Additionally, there's also the elementary school Edgewood Elementary School. There's that playground there as well. They don't have turf. They have that rubber material on the playground. It is ripped apart. It is in bad conditions. And it's just, again, it goes back to taking pride of what we own and making sure that it's the place where our kids go. And so it's not part of the school. It's playgrounds the maintenance part of it belongs to the city side. And I don't think the school should have that responsibility on taking over the playgrounds. It should continue to be our priorities right now to make sure that that's the case. And if we have that responsibility to make sure that that's the one site, you don't have to even pay to go to a playground. Like, families should have access to use slides, and the kids should have fun, not worried whether or not they're going to get cut or not. And some of the conditions of those toys are not in the best condition. Some of them also have graffiti. I know graffiti's a little tough, right? It's done. We have to call it in. There's a graffiti team, but I really would appreciate the administration to take a drive and look at the conditions of that, of that playground. In terms of Commercial Street Playground, I went to go play basketball and with my kid, and it's cracked. It looks so bad. I can twist my ankle there. Anybody could. And so the hoops are in the worst conditions. Sometimes the trash barrel is overflowing as well. I am just not happy right now with the way that our parks are being maintained. I can't speak as far as any other parks around the city, because I've been really driving around Commercial Street, been driving around the one on Smith Street. There's a small little park there, which is in a CDBG zone, of which I've asked a few times whether or not we can improve that. Not recently, but I have asked, and there really hasn't been much done there. But it's just really depressing to see the way that our parks are just falling apart. The toys, the crack of the basketball court, the hoops. Councilwoman Renzulli is not here with us this evening, but we can see that there's another council member who has an item on here in terms of the hoops as well. I don't want to jump into her bullet item that she has underneath her name, but I'm not satisfied with the way the conditions of our parks are. And so I am requesting a list of an assessment of our parks, the conditions, and what's the path that we want to take here in terms of the maintenance of it. It's August, but it doesn't matter because kids are still playing on September, in October, in November. People still go throughout the winter just to get some fresh air with the kids. What's going on? Is the director still on staff with us? And by all means, I respect the director at all, as much as I can. Have had conversations with him. And in terms of when the condition on the other playground that we were trying to get grants for here near the Friendly Community, as well. But this is just not acceptable. I don't even get a response acknowledging my emails in terms of the parks. I get them on some of the other stuff, which you have responded, Director, but the parks, just not right. So if I could have that list for the next Public Works meeting
Yes,
disseminated to all of the council members here this evening, was all of us on the council, that would be greatly appreciated. And the next item that I have even on there is how do we determine, like, if we have families that are providing us and donating basketball hoops, is the city putting those up, or are we letting the parents put that up? Because they've been putting them up because the city's just not doing their due diligence.
awful lot of criticism. Maybe we could break things
It's
down
not
a little bit.
criticism, Director. It is a
It's the
fact.
first time
Have
I'm
you
aware
driven-
of hoops being donated, so I'll be more than happy to follow up with that. Maybe I could ask you who donated them? Who did they give the hoops to put up?
So I'm going to jump here a bit
That'd be helpful. That way I could follow up for you.
on if everyone's okay, there's an item under Councilwoman Renzulli's council communication. And there's the basketball hoop at Seville Park and other Cranston parks. There was a parent who purchased the basketball hoop there. And I don't know whether the parent has already installed it or if it's up to the city to install it, but I was informed that there was a parent who someone purchased a hoop there. And my assumptions are, and I could be wrong, and I've been wrong in the past, we're all humans. But if you have parents that are continuously asking for whether it's a hoop replacement or just a maintenance of the parks or something's broken or it's just at all, like, again, it's what is the protocol? What are the best practices that we have? What are the standing operational procedures right now in terms of keeping up with our Parks and Rec? If there are parents that are asking for hoops and they're to the point they're purchasing it, it's probably because
So is it
We're not-
limited to Seville Park or the other parks?
Seville.
Like
This one's
so
at
it's
Seville
one-
Park,
one-
sir.
One set of hoops at Seville Park. Okay. On that, I'm not aware of someone was purchasing it, wanting it up. But during the Fung administration, the hoops were taken down. And the reason for that was because because of two things. The noise the basketballs were making, the dribbling to the neighboring houses. The residents expressed a lot of displeasure that they did not want the hoops down, the hoops remaining, and also the people it was attracting, I guess they were at the time smoking marijuana in public, which is still not allowed. Swearing, staying there late hours, it was very much a nuisance. And for that reason, the hoops were taken down again during the Fung administration. And I believe there was also a person that was a witness here, one of the council meetings, who took on a basketball and was dribbling as he was speaking to see if it was annoying anyone. And so based on that, the mayor is pleased to do whatever the council would like to. If they want the hoops, they're going up. City will pay for the hoops or not. If you don't want the hoops, we'll keep them down. Simple as that.
now, Director, I don't want to speak on behalf of the neighborhood. But don't we have times? And I know I see your hand up, council member, and I'll definitely follow up on you. But and you can probably obviously talk about the matter, right? But you know what? I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say after you. Go ahead, Councilman Papalaskis.
Thank you, Chairwoman Vargas. Just to add a little historical knowledge, I know Director Moretti dipped into it briefly. When I got elected to the council a millennia ago, those hoops weren't there. They were taken down because the majority of the neighbors around the park didn't want the basketball hoops there because of the sound. I was not happy with that answer because I don't think the kids should play, and obviously wanted the hoops, one hoop to go back up. But before I did that or pushed it, I walked the neighborhood probably about 8 years ago to see what the consensus was. And the consensus was they didn't want the basketball hoop there. There was a few homes that had wanted it, but a majority did not want it. I don't know what the consensus is now. There is a hoop there that somebody had purchased, maybe one that you could put in your driveway with the portable one. It's been there for maybe a year, a little less. And I haven't got any phone calls, so maybe the consensus is changing. I'm happy to see the hoop go up, but there was a gentleman that lived across from the park. I think he might still live there, but it's before my time on the council. To my understanding, every time the council president spoke, the person bounced the basketball in the auditorium. So what's the matter? You don't like it? Because that's what I hear all day. So that's kind of why the hoop came down. So, like I said, I'm happy to see a hoop there. I want to see the kids play. But again, what's the consensus in the neighborhood? So that's what the history with Saivo Park.
I appreciate it. It's a park, right? It's a basketball court.
It is a basketball court. Yeah, I mean, it was a school probably like the
understand.
50s.
Yeah, and then that's why I'm asking, right? What are our hours that, right? If you have kids bouncing balls and it's 11 o'clock at night, basketball, maybe we put hours, and I don't know if we have that already, and I am curious to know if we do. But then why do we have a basketball court? Right? So it's almost
Yeah,
like what came
I was
first, right?
hoping
The
it was
chicken
gonna
or the
be a
egg? We have
splash pad,
basketball, we
but
have
Councilmember
neighbors.
Donegan took all the money for that. That'd be a great spot for a splash pad.
Yeah.
Wink,
So,
wink.
so, and to that point, which I was just writing down as you were speaking, was what would then be our other alternatives, right? That we could provide the kids in the neighborhood other than basketball. And it's a 50-50, and it's a very sticky subject because you're gonna have possibly families around there, hence the reason why there's probably a basketball court up there right now that somebody just put up. And then there's gonna be families who are folks
Yeah,
who are
and
not.
like I said, I'm not against putting the hoop back up there, but we run the risk of some people being upset, but I think the kids should play, so that's where I stand on that.
So that
Thank
was Councilwoman Renzulli's. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave that on there for next month as well, because I want her to be able
By
to,
the way, she said, she's at a family event. She has a wedding tonight, believe it or not, on a Thursday.
I think she texts each and every one of us this
Okay.
evening.
All
I
right.
think we all got the text, and I
Okay.
think all of them are coming to me, so no more text for any of the council members to me. I understand she has a wedding and she's enjoying it. Have fun, Councilwoman Renzulli. Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you, Council Vice President. I think that we should, if it's a basketball court, there should be a basketball hoop. So if the administration wants input from the council, I say, put the hoop back up. With respect to Councilman Paplaskas in the neighborhood he represents, respectfully, he bought a house next to a park. I'll just keep talking all night. Put the hoop back up.
Council President Marino.
Ditto here. It's a basketball court. Put the basketball hoop back up. I was a basketball player as a young kid. Do it for the kids.
Gotta do a one-on-one.
I say we give it a shot.
But all, taking this, really seriously as well is, I'd like to keep that basketball hoop at Sebo Park and other construction parks under Councilwoman Renzulli. I just want to make sure that she has a chance to chat or follow up on this come the next Public Works meeting. So again, I'd like to the clerk if that can stay on the docketed agenda. And again, to the administration, you asked what our consensus is, and I think so far it is to put the basketball hoop back up
It will be
and
up
go
next-
from there and then
It'll be up
determine.
next week.
Thank you. And would we be able to get a list in terms of the assessments again of the park and rec parks
Sure.
around the city? And if we can definitely check at Chester Barrows school starting
Mhm.
as a priority on that end as well, but really also the other.
Yeah, a
Basketball
couple of
courts
things
and
on the
different
other
parks.
ones that require capital spending. 'Cause you had mentioned, I believe, the cracks in the basketball court. That's unless it's a simple repair. If it's really a mess, obviously have to be a capital item. If it's a minor repair, we could take care of it. Same thing would go for that. In fact, I know specifically speaking with the director that that needs replacement. It's in disrepair relative to the rubber matting at the Edgewood Highlands. that's gone. So that would be capital. It's not a state of repair, he says. But the other things I'll be certainly happy to look into, the hoops at commercial, trash overflowing, just the routine there. Mentioned the rubber matting, and graffiti. And if he said there's broken toys at Edgewood and sprucing up Chester Barrels, that'll be done next week.
Okay, I appreciate that. That would be great. But I still want to make sure that we get this list in terms of the assessment of our parks. And if he wants to put notes on there that says this requires a capital project, improvement in dollars and funds, then let's have that conversation. That should be communicated to us, right?
Sure.
And we should be moving forward with this and making sure that everybody has a playground in their area that is up to date, that it's clean, that it's maintained, that the trash is also taken care of as well and not overflowing. So that's probably a different conversation, but in terms of the maintenance of our parks, we should really be, that's
Mentioned it a
probably.
few times. I made note, I'd be happy to. look
Okay,
into it.
can't reiterate it enough. Thank you so much on that. The other items that I have on here, which was a Big Belly Smart Waste System, removing that from my council communication, I think that was discussed. I'm actually doing some research on that and bringing that right back, probably within the next few months, but I'll remove it for now. The schedule of the Patuxent Village Stillhouse Cove trash pickup, did we end up solidifying that? Did you
Yes,
miss it?
I triple checked with Highway. They are there every day.
They're where every day?
Yeah, picking up the tippy cans at Patuxent Village and Stillhouse Cove, excuse me.
They go every day?
Correct, yep. And
So-
following the day, they go to the landfill. They get a weight slip, which is what we pay based on what they dispose. So we do have records of them being there every day,
When you say every day, I consider every day being 7 days a week, 7 days a
5
week?
days a week, days of employment.
I'm gonna have to double check on that.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna keep this on the item to the clerk. If we can keep this on the item, I may actually end up adding it to the council communication for the meeting at the end of this month. Because I have some other information as well, and I can also touch base with you, but I
Sounds
want to
good.
make
Yeah,
sure.
perfect.
Thank you. The drainage process, I think that was pretty much already answered. Council President hadn't had that item under her item, so I think that's sufficient, so we can remove that one going forward. Next item, Council President Marino, you have an item on here, Fire Department Station, status of necessary repairs and maintenance. It's all yours.
Thank you, Council Vice President Vargas. Just looking for a status update from the administration on this topic.
Okay, the first thing that was, first of that next day, the mayor met with the fire chief and did a walkthrough with the safety officer of the union, along with the union president. And observed this, which you pointed out, and the first thing before any work was going to be done was checking air quality, particularly Station 2. Believe it or not, it took all this time to get the results back. That happened just maybe, let's see, Thursday, sometime earlier this week. That good news in that regard, that air quality came back below any concerns. So that was a nice step forward in terms of knowing how to proceed beyond that. Because obviously we looked beyond what we saw, the paint and this and that. We were looking to molds and other things in the air, and they proved negative. We have, we think the scope in terms of the painting, there are some lead paint issues. But speaking with the Rhode Island Health Department, there's no immediate concern, and there's no urgent concerns at the moment. Just making sure that the firefighters don't eat the paint. It would be one of the things, that'd be but even that is not a highest of urgency for the health department. So we are going out for an RFP or some type of bidding process, maybe to get the 3 bids on outside contracts as to we're scoping out the work, and it'll be awarding that the work outside We'll see how much, we're not quite sure how much that would cost. You suggested perhaps using ARPA funds, which certainly could come into play. Or we could see how much it is. It could come possibly out of operating funds, depends on how much it would cost.
Thank you, Director Moretti. So in terms of the need for repairs, are there any repairs that were done in-house through building and maintenance, things like holes in the walls or things like that?
We're gonna put that with the outside contractors. I think we saw 2 areas, 2 or 3, some pretty minor. It doesn't take a lot to fix. Some little bit of a wall board and a little bit of plaster paint. But no, it hasn't been done. This will be part of that contract.
Okay.
Our laborers have a concern for doing the work, so if they hesitate, we'll go on the outside and not ask them to do that because it wasn't deemed an emergency.
And how far along are we, or what's the timeline for the RFP for the repairs then?
The formulating scope of work, I don't have the exact timeline. The formulating scope of work, I'd probably finish up probably this week or next. I'm not sure if they could just do go ahead and get 3 quotes and do a bid waiver. So Mr. Marchese will choose the best way of getting it done more expeditiously. That might be the case, shooting for a bid waiver, getting 3 quotes. Otherwise, it would be a full RFP process. But perhaps if it's the expedited method, it would have to go in front of BOCAP. So it would be within a month.
Right. I don't have any other questions. Thank you for the update.
Thank you. Any questions at all relative to this topic before we move on? No? Okay, great. The other item again under Councilwoman Renzulli's items was Rhode Island Ready Municipal Road Fund Program to the administration. Is there any update, any information that could be given to the councilwoman when she goes over the video today?
Yep, this is a great program that the DOT is implementing and Cranston will be applying and utilizing the grant funding.
When are we applying for this? Timeline?
The deadline is the middle of October. I think it's the 16th.
Are we working with the grant writer on this?
No, this is a relatively simple grant. It's only a 2-step grant, so I will probably be taking care of it myself. If I need her assistance, I'll reach out to her.
Thank you, Council President.
Can you just shed some light? I know the state has more than one program that they're initiating where cities and towns can avail themselves of a partnership type of a program with these grants where the state is funding a certain percentage and the city is. Can you just provide with some details, like what's the actual percentage split with the state? What's the potential amount of funding that we might receive? And what types of municipal road projects would we be looking at for improvement? Thanks.
Yep, so eligible costs for this grant are road paving, bridges and sidewalks. Now, we are going to be focusing on roads. The way that the grant is structured, it's a $20 million grant. The first $5 million is allocated equally throughout the municipalities. The rest of the $15 million is dispersed based on road centerline miles. The last 15 million is based on roadway centerline miles. So the bigger the city, the more money you get. Grants are due the middle of October. You can use the money up until the end of the fiscal year. So through June of next year. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions at all relative to this matter? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
a second,
Second.
all in favor, say
Aye.
I have it. Adjourned. Good evening. Welcome to the Ordinance Committee meeting. It is Thursday, August 17th. Through the clerk, can you please take a roll call?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine, Councilwoman Renzulli, Councilman Ferry,
Present.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Council President Marino.
Next item, approval of minutes. Approval of minutes of the July 13, 2023 regular meetings. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, through the clerk, can you please take the roll call?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Right, next item is the approval of the minutes of the July 24th, 2023 special meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
So motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, to the clerk, can you please take the roll?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Yes. Next item is committee business matters carried over. That is 2-23-04, ordinance and the amendment of chapter 15 of the Code of the City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Buildings and Construction, Lead Safe Homes, sponsored by Councilman Donegan, co-sponsored by Councilwoman Jermaine. Was continued March, April, May, June, and July. I believe this matter is going to be continued to the next ordinance committee in the month of September. To the clerk, can you please make sure that gets continued? Thank you. All right, next is there a motion? Do we have to put a motion to continue? Yeah, is there a motion to continue? Sorry,
Do a motion to continue.
Yeah. Is there a motion to continue?
Motion to continue. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Councilmember Donegan.
The only thing I want to mention is I had an opportunity to speak with our attorney Angel earlier this week. He's in the process of reviewing the impact on recent state legislation on this proposed ordinance. So once that review is complete, hopefully we'll be able to either move forward, not move forward, but have a definitive answer.
Perfect. Makes total sense. Thank you. Can I, again, any other discussion on this? Nope. Okay. The clerk, can you please take a roll call on the motion to continue?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Great. Next item is the public hearing and public comment. We are now opening public comment to docketed matters only. I see absolutely no one here in the chambers. Right? Nope. Tom, is anybody on Zoom?
See no public comment.
Great, thank you. Public comments now closed. Moving on to new matters before the committee. There's a resolution officially naming the city of Cranston Park located at the intersection of Cranston Street, Park Avenue, and Phoenix Avenue, E-Tree Park, sponsored by Mayor Hopkins. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on this matter? Councilman Capabianco.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to say that I just returned from E-Tree, and in E-Tree, for those of you who don't know, there is a Cranston Park. And I got the luxury of visiting. I was very privileged to see it, and they're very proud of it. So the people that I met in E-Tree, I told them about our park and showed them the pictures, and they were all excited. So this is a great way to express our sister cities, and I am full support of this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion on this? Council President Marino.
I feel compelled to say something about this. Councilman Campopiano, having come back from E-Tree recently, visited with a lot of my family, as a matter of fact. But in terms of the area, there have been questions about why E-Tree Park, or, questions about the affiliation, and it's a long-standing history. Even with the St. Mary's Church in that area was built because it was to be a local church in Cranston to represent the church from where the immigrants came from in E-Tree, the Santuaria in Etrie. And even my family, when they first immigrated here and had sponsors in the 50s, lived right in that area in an apartment. So it's very true that there's a lot of heritage there, and then the generations down the line, share those memories and that community. I think that's a proper name for the park. Yep, thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Papalaskis.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to thank my colleagues, Council President Marino and Councilmember Campopiano. Your points were right on and perfect. I'm not on this committee. I can't vote for it this evening, but I'll certainly support it at the full council. And if the administration is okay, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. And I think everybody in the neighborhood is very happy with the name Etrie Park. Some people had mentioned maybe Knightsville Park, but Etrie Park fits. And it's a great ode to the past. So thank you.
Great.
Welcome aboard.
You, Councilmember Campopiano.
I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor.
All right. Councilman Donegan, does everybody want to be added, or is there just no? Yes, no? Okay, Campopiano. Yeah, okay. Through the clerk, if we can please be listed as co-sponsors. I believe is all the members of the committee. I don't know if we can actually add, can we add Councilmember Papalaskis on here as well? I mean, he's not on the committee, but I mean, if it wasn't, right? I think we can, right? Yeah. All right. Okay, no, thank you. All right,
Here, if I just,
Oh.
one quick. one.
Director, go for it.
Thank you. First of all, thank everyone for joining in on that. I think we all can feel very proud of it. I'll go by on the way home every single day and I'll see someone there. Just last night, I just went by, I saw one dad apparently with a young child on a little tricycle. It was heartwarming. I think that's what it's all about and why that park was built, constructed. There's always someone in it for the most part, I have to say that. And you really got a sense of people appreciating that facility. And so I think we all could and should be proud of it. The concerns of maintaining it, Parks and Rec is charged with it, and we're being diligent with it. We had concerns during the St. Mary's Feast, frankly, to say that people might abuse it. It was not. It was very much respected. And so I think you have something nice and you keep it nice and people do respect it. And I think like the behalf of the administration, thank each and every one for their support for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I'm glad that's going to be added to the list of good maintenance as well, as so should all the other parks. So next item is Councilwoman Jermaine. Airbnb VRBO. Sorry, we got to vote on that. I'm sorry. I'm skipping ahead of myself here. Through the clerk, can you please take the roll on the resolution coming before us?
Council Vice President Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Ferry,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Council President Marino.
Right, thanks. Motion passes. Councilwoman Jermaine is not here. If we can continue this for the next ordinance committee meeting, the Airbnb / the VRBO. To the clerk, next item is Narragansett Electric Company appeal to the PUC of amendment to chapter 15, section 15 of the City of Cranston Code of Ordinance. Is there a motion to approve? Yes, so to our legal counsel, should we be, I know it says vote may be taken on here. Is this for as an informational only, or must we vote on this item?
It's just informational only. There's nothing to vote on at this point.
All right, perfect. If it's just informational only, seeing there's no additional items on the agenda, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, if there's no further discussion at all, the ayes have it, meeting adjourned. Thank you.